This is a step-by-step procedure on how to install the sub and the sub amp on a 2017 Jeep JK. Now it's time to remove the bottom bracket of the seat frame. The actual position of the amp is mounted horizontally, not vertically. Now it's time to put all the 6 bolts on the bottom bracket of the seat. In case, you need to remove the air vents. So you need to line this. There's a slot underneath here, and you should pry down on it and then turn. This locking tab down, so you could turn the air vent so you could pull it out. Now we have to remove the cover of the tweeter plate. On the driver's side speaker assembly, we need to remove several screws to access the speaker housing. Steering wheel, as low as you can adjust it, pull it straight out. After we remove the two 10mm bolts, all you have to do is lift the plate up out of the keyway and set it aside. With a 10mm bolt, you have to access it from the bottom, and there's 2 golden screws on the side. It's kind of hard to show it underneath the dash, but there is you reach over and there's a release tab to release the connection for the speaker housing. Plug it in, and then, and remember, the one with the longest tab is the top one. It should be placed on top so everything would line up. The speaker box back in place. And make sure that you don't forget to plug the speaker back in. Just reverse the order of the dismantling procedure. To reinstall the panel back in place, just snap it back in place very carefully so you don't scratch the head unit. Okay, and the same thing goes on the other side. And don't forget to put the screws in the middle of the panel. To reinstall the vent assembly, put the Jeep lettering at 11 o'clock and then put it on 12 o'clock. It would snap it back in place. plug it in, push it in, then lock it in place, and then just push it back in place. With a small pick tool, just pry the cover for the tweeter plate, and with a 7mm socket, remove 2 mounting screws to be able to replace the tweeter. Now we have to put the OEM audio tweeter back in place. Speaker removal. With a size 20 Torx bit, remove the cover of the rear speaker assembly. Using the same T20, remove the factory speaker. And tweeter assembly, and reinstall the cover. Passenger side speaker assembly removal. First, remove the glove box assembly by squeezing both sides and sliding it back out. Remove the 10mm bolt. This is a little tedious because you have to do it from the upside down. Remove the connection. Then remove the 2 golden bolts on the side, 7mm, and the black 7mm on the trim assembly. And slide it through the glove box opening. Reinstalling procedure. Just put the housing back in, line everything up. Don't forget to squeeze and push the glove box in place. Put the 2 screws on the side and the cover back in. The Alpine subwoofer would no longer be in use. Instead, we are going to replace with a 10-inch OEM Audio Plus subwoofer. So take this out. There's 2 Torx head screws here and a 10mm bolt behind this. Use our adapter and plug it into the Alpine umbilical. Okay. On this particular install, the vehicle came with an aftermarket vinyl rack system So we need to modify our bracket to be able to mount our subwoofer. But this would be done if you order our kit. Just make sure that if you have the Rhino rack system, that you specify that you do have them, so we could modify our bracket accordingly. We're using the existing factory mounting locations to install our 10-inch subwoofer. To be able to mount our subwoofer, we are reusing the old screw that we took out and using the same mounting holes, the same screws, and all you have to do is tighten it. And then we put the wiring back, the plug back in the auxiliary plug. Back the 10mm nut that hold this panel in place. Outside of the panel, up and above, it would pretty much stay in place. Hose hanger will be easier to pull the power wires through the firewall. So we're gonna now we're gonna feed the power wire through the firewall into the engine bay, into the engine compartment. Okay, we're through. Go to the power wire through. And always, as always, done with a red tracer or the red tape on the power wire would be the power wire for the sub amplifier. I'm gonna unplug this. 1 and 2. Now we're gonna plug our harness into the Alpine amp assembly. And now the factory harness plugs into our wiring harness. Both of those. Now we have to route this out of the way. Make sure you secure it. We're gonna secure the wiring harness and the 2 power wires that we just pulled through the firewall. I'm gonna have to secure it in place. It's better to secure it on the ground terminals. Make sure you route it on this cavity right here. because it's large enough to accommodate our wiring harness, and it's got to come out of the seat. Make sure that it's right up against the sill plate right here, and now we're gonna reinstall the carpet. And make sure that you put the carpet retaining clip back in place so the carpet does. Now we put this threshold back to secure the wire harness in place and reinstall the 3 clips as necessary. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're gonna install the in-sync wiring harness. It's a 20 pin, a 4 pin, and 8 pin. Now you have to connect the 20 pin, the 4 pin, and the 8 pin connector. Just make sure you hear the click when as you're pushing the harness down. That means it locks into place. And next we're gonna put the Anderson connector on the sub and the sub amp assembly. We already did the sub amp and now the DSP. Now we have to put a conduit on both power wires so we could secure it in the engine compartment. We are going to connect the dual fuse holders on the positive side of the battery. And these things need to be done without any fuses in the fuse holders. So we'll be to prevent arcs and accidents and stuff. Now we cut the power wire to length. And remember, the one with the red tracer, the power with the red tracer is the sub amp, and it requires a larger capacity fuse holders or fuses. That one, make sure that you have a positive connection. I suggest that you pull it back to make sure that you have a positive connection. Okay. Power wire on top of the existing wiring harness, the bigger wiring harness, and tie it in 3 specific areas. Now the installation is complete.